Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling this transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We control the horizontal, and we control the vertical. For the next few minutes, sit quietly, and we will control all that you see and hear. We are about to open your mind to the Arizal, the Ari-Hakodesh. To be among the first 10 at Bet Knesset. I have seen that my teacher, the Arizal, was not careful to be among the first 10 men in synagogue. He explained that because he was sick, it was necessary for him to remain at home and prepare himself. It was also in order for him to put on talit and tefillin at home and walk to synagogue in daylight while wearing them, as the night is not the time for tefillin. The first 10 men who came to the synagogue earlier than him arrived when it was still dark, and he was therefore unable to accomplish this mitzvah. Waiting at the entrance to the Bet Knesset. When entering a synagogue, one must be careful to wait at the entrance for a short time prior to entering and show oneself fearful of entering the palace of the king. This practice does much to help an individual approach perfection and become a God-fearing person. Idle conversation at the Bet Knesset. I have seen that my teacher, the Ari-Hakodesh, was extremely careful not to talk at all in synagogue, even when there were no prayers. He did not even want to talk about topics like tshuva, as that could lead to idle talk. I also saw that he was careful not to spit in the synagogue, but rather spat into cloth, or he swallowed it. He would read Tehillim, Psalms, Korbanot, the sacrifices, and Shema Yisrael from a Siddur, prayer book. He would close his eyes and say the Holy Amidah by heart, and also close his eyes during the repetition of the Holy Amidah, and pay attention to the person leading the prayers. Crying during the Rosh Hashanah prayers. My teacher, the Arizal, would cry a lot during Rosh Hashanah, although it was Yom Tov, and would cry all the more on Yom Kippur. He said that if anyone does not cry during these days, it shows that his soul is not honest and perfect. Some people are judged on the first day, when it is regarded as a severe judgment, while others are judged on the second day, when it is a soft judgment, and Hashem has mercy on them. If a person cries a lot on these days, it is a sign that he is being judged at this time. Regarding sleep on Rosh Hashanah, my teacher said that it is not good to sleep during the day. It is, however, permitted to sleep after midday, as I have seen my teacher doing. Pious souls help those who study Torah. Know that a person who studies Torah for Hashem's sake merits that the soul of a pious person who originates from the same root will appear to him as one of the angels that appeared to our father Avraham Avinu and revealed Torah secrets to him, similar to the voice came down to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, revealing Torah secrets to him. The days of a person's lifetime. The soul is divided into many sparks of light, and in every incarnation, the person receives some sparks according to the number of sparks of the soul's image. These are the days of his lifetime, and each day, when he performed mitzvot, amend one spark of the soul image, and a day without mitzvot remains damaged. Only after his passing is the soul able to wear those sparks in Gan Eden, the location of his main spiritual body. Angels that escort a person. Know that there are angels greater than a person's soul, and other angels smaller than a person's soul. However, the angels who escort a person are smaller than him, while the angels who escort and surround Hashem are higher than human souls. Leah and Rachel. You will understand the issue of Rachel and Leah. When Yaakov had intimate relations with Leah, he deposited inside her the power to conceive 6 boys and 1 girl. However, regarding the spirit that Yaakov left within Rachel, it was small, and sufficed only for her to conceive Yosef. Therefore, when Benjamin was born, Rachel was forced to give Benjamin part of her own soul. So when Benjamin was born, her soul left her body, and she died. As it says in the verse, when her soul departed, she died. The stages of life. 7 weeks shall you number unto yourself from the time you begin to put the sickle to the corn. The word Satan, Sin Tet Nun, has the same numerical value as Malach HaMavet, the angel of death. Since a person is judged in the heavenly court once he reaches the age of 20, and the Satan controls him after that age. You shall count in years the number of days in 7 weeks until a person reaches 50 years old to complete 70 years, and you shall make the holiday of Shavuot for Hashem. A person must get used to giving charity to the extent that his hand would give automatically. As Hillel said, if I am here, everyone is here, because Hillel was very old and was exempt from climbing Mount Zion on foot. Therefore, he said, although I am not obligated to go to the Temple Mount, I force myself to do it, in order for all Jews to do the same. If you ask how I climb when I am 120 years old, he replied, to the place that I want to go. My feet take me there, and my feet are accustomed to do Hashem's will, so it was easy for him to walk. After all this comes the festival of Sukkot, which refers to the day of passing, and the soul is honored in a canopy in Gan Eden. As it says, when harvesting your field, which refers to the Torah, and to the good deeds that a person accomplished during his lifetime. He shall then rejoice during the 7 first days, because the pious enjoy these first days in Gan Eden. Since before the soul arrived to this world, it was fed by Hashem's mercy. But after coming to this world and fulfilling mitzvot and good deeds, then you shall eat your own reward. This refers to the strict observance of the laws, precluding engaging in forbidden relations, and also to the performing of the mitzvot of be fruitful and multiply. The Torah mentions Sukkot 3 times, corresponding to the 3 canopies that the pious enjoy in Gan Eden. 1 for the soul, 1 for the spirit, and 1 for the life force. Yocheved was a reincarnation of Chava. The Egyptians placed guards to prevent women from immersing in the mikvah, but Hashem prevented the women from menstruating, so they did not have to immerse, which caused them to multiply, as it happened with King David. As it says, and it will be warm for the king. A man from the house of Levi married the daughter of Levi. Know that Yocheved was the reincarnation of Chava, as it says in the verse, to this will be called a woman. And it says, and the woman became pregnant, the known woman. Like Chava, after 130 years, she conceived Seth. So too, Yocheved gave birth to Moshe, who was a reincarnation of Seth. The verse says, she hid him for 3 months. The soul often waits between angels in the world of creation, and the soul operates as an angel. Moshe Rabbeinu was similar to Adam Arishon. A man of the house of Levi married the daughter of Levi, and the woman became pregnant. Know that Moshe was like Adam himself. Just like all subsequent souls were included in Adam, so too Moshe was equivalent to the entire nation of Israel. Just like Adam separated from Chava for 130 years, and then begat children, so too Yocheved was 130 years old when she gave birth to Moshe, and after Adam gave life to demons and spirits. The entirety of creation depends on human behavior. When Adam was created, the verse says, let us make a man, in the plural, as opposed to the rest of creation, such as, let there be light, in the singular. The reason is that the only creature who was created in conjunction with others was Adam Arishon, in order for all the universe to have mercy on him. So if Adam would sin, the entire creation would be damaged, and the entire universe would pray for him, while if he would be meritorious, all creation would be happy with him. Hashem took advice from the heavenly court in order that each member would give his share. Therefore, when Adam sinned, he caused great spiritual damage to the entire universe. The Satan refused to give his share to Adam Arishon. As it says in the verse, why create mankind? Hashem wanted each angel to give from his own spirit to Adam, but Adam would have modified them, and they would have ceased to exist. They therefore refused to cooperate, and Hashem therefore toppled them. As the verse states, he will destroy death to eternity. And the Satan came to entice Adam to sin. When Adam sinned, he lost all his spiritual powers and was forced to wear corporeal garments. As it says in the verse, and Hashem made for Adam and wife garments of leather. When Moshe Rabbeinu was born, he was able to utilize his good deeds to repair all the spiritual forces and restore them to the level they were at before Adam sinned. This was achieved after Moshe received the Torah, and was to the extent that even the Satan gave him the gift of the Korat, the spices on the altar, to stop the decree of death. Moshe was eligible for these supernatural powers. The angels gave gifts to Moshe. When Moses ascended to heaven, all of the angels gave him gifts. Even the Satan gave him the incense. How do we know that the Satan gave it to Moshe? Perhaps Hashem revealed it to Moshe, or other angels gave it to Moshe. The 11 incense spices are the vital energy of the Satan, and Hashem's will was that each angel should give Moshe of his vital force. Therefore, when an epidemic broke out, Moshe told Aaron, "Take the incense," and he thereby put an end to the plague. This is what the verse says. You took gifts. All the gifts that Moshe took were included within Adam's soul, and now Moshe earned them back, so even the Satan gave him a gift willingly. Moshe did not regain Adam's level before the sin. However, as it says in the verse, in the future my slave will be wiser and higher, even more than Adam and Abraham. The sin of the golden calf caused death. When the nation of Israel stood at Mount Sinai to accept the Torah, they received the level of Adam Arishon before the sin. They were consequently freed from the angel of death, the Malach HaMavet, and would never have died had they not sinned with the golden calf. They were only eligible to this spiritual level because of Moshe Rabbeinu. 120,000 angels came down and gave each Jew 2 crowns. And this is why Moshe lived 120 years. Why Moshe Rabbeinu took out the Erev Rav. And the child grew up, and she brought him to Paro's daughter, and he became to her as a son. Know that the word Paro is composed of 2 Hebrew words, Pe and Ra, which mean bad mouth. And Moshe grew up in his palace because Paro was Moshe's outer layer, the peel of his soul. Moshe was therefore saying, I am heavy of mouth and tongue. So how can I go to Paro and liberate the nation of Israel from his power? This is the reason Moshe took the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, the converts out of Egypt, and they sinned, as it says in the verse that Paro's contamination adhered to the converts. This is why Moshe called them a stubborn nation. Therefore Moshe told Hashem, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, blot me out, I pray you, from your book of life. Because the converts were the peel of Moshe's outer spiritual layer. His intention was to rectify them. But when they sinned with the golden calf, he failed. And they did not enter the Holy Land. And Moshe was forced to die in the desert to rectify them and retrieve his share. This is why their name was Erev Rav, separating them from the Rav, from Rabbi Rav Moshe Rabbeinu. Their future incarnations will be amended prior to the days of the Mashiach, and Moshe will enter with them into the land of Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu was the reincarnation of Chavel, and Moshe was keeping the flock. This refers to his previous reincarnation as Chavel. When he was a shepherd, Chavel was killed because he allowed his sheep to eat from stolen grass. Moshe's amendment was therefore to take his sheep to the desert in order to prevent his animals from stealing grass, thereby doing tshuva. And an angel of Hashem appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a thorn bush. Know that Moshe was an incarnation of 3 different people, Moshe, Seth, and Chavel. When Moshe saw the bush burning and not being consumed by fire, he said, this is strict judgment with mercy, as the bush was not consumed by fire. He therefore came close to see this miracle, as it says, I am the God of Avraham, your forefather. Immediately Moshe covered his face, as he was afraid to watch. The reason Chavel was reincarnated was because he had peeked at the Shekhinah. Therefore Moshe rectified his sin by covering his face. With this in mind, you will understand why Moshe and Aaron were not punished upon seeing the Shekhinah. However, Nadav and Avihu were immediately punished, as it says, and there went out a fire from before Hashem and consumed them. This was the essence of Chavel's sin, as it is said about Adam's sin. By eating from the tree of knowledge, and by Noach's drinking wine and becoming drunk. Therefore a heavenly fire came and consumed them. The snake contaminated Chava. You must know that when Adam sinned, he lost his wife. The snake contaminated her, and she became defiled. And since then, women have their monthly period. The snake told her that with the same mouth she ate from the tree, she would also know Hashem's will. Our sages explained on the verse, no other prophet rose in Israel like Moshe Rabbeinu. Only within Israel there was no one like Moshe. However, there was one among the nations, Balaam. Moshe was in the holy forces and Balaam in the Sitra Achra. They were initially integrated after Adam's sin, and Moshe was on the holy side, as it says. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, Balaam subsequently was separated from Moshe. Balaam is described by the verse, one who knows Hashem's will. Moshe's entire generation was one of great knowledge, and the Erev Rav, the converts that Moshe took out of Egypt, were created during the 130 years when Adam ejected sperm in vain. Moshe wanted to repair them and take them out of Mitzrayim, and they were the reason for the Egyptian exile. You will also understand the verse, behold, you shall sleep with your fathers, and then will this people rise up. Rise up can refer either to the future or the past. It means that Moshe will be reincarnated in the future with the Erev Rav. The secret to reincarnation is hidden within every generation. Moshe Rabbeinu came in order to teach that generation, because the generation of the desert will also be reincarnated in the last generation, the generation prior to the coming of Mashiach. This is why, with most people in this generation, their wives control them. This applies especially to Torah scholars, because the men, they are the ones that sinned with the golden calf, as compared to the women who refused to donate their jewelry to be used to make the golden calf idol. They therefore control their husbands. And the Erev Rav and Moshe are both within them. And he, Paro, said unto them, and so Hashem is with you, as I will let you go together with your little ones. See that evil is before you. Paro saw the zodiac sign Aries, of a ram, coming up with blood. Hashem therefore ordered Israel to carry out the circumcision injunction, and with the merit of this mitzvah, they would be saved from the blood forecast. As it says regarding Yoshua, today I removed the shame of Mitzrayim from you, and he called that place Gilgal. The soul shall be cut off. When a pious person dies, his soul ascends higher than the first time. A person is only jealous of his wife if a spirit of purity takes hold of him. When a person loves his wife, it causes him jealousy. Therefore, jealousy is a virtue, because it is a sign of great love of his wife. The wicked cannot ascend up above, as such a soul is cut off from its source of origin and descends. The departure of the soul from the body. The exodus from Egypt is similar to a soul departing this world, and Paro sent the nation. This refers to the time when the Satan takes a person's soul, and the evil forces pursue the soul to punish it for its wrong deeds, for its bad deeds. And the Egyptians pursued after them, and they overtook their encampment by the sea. This refers to purgatory, to Gehinnom, which is the river Dinur of fires. Then Israel began crying to Hashem for help, and said to Moshe, are there not graves in Egypt, that you took us to die in the desert? It refers to the soul when seeing how terrible is the punishment of the grave, saying, is not that enough suffering that was experienced when the soul was forced into the body during the person's lifetime, that he should suffer more at the grave? Perhaps we are better off inside the body and subjugated to the evil inclination. This is as opposed to the pious, who are waiting to die in order to be rewarded and live in the true world. The 3 days of darkness in Mitzrayim resemble the 3 days after passing, and Moshe replies, do not be afraid of the punishment, because it is for your own benefit and spares you. Wait and see. By purifying yourself from sin, you will never again see Gehinnom. In the morning, Hashem looked at Egypt's army with a pillar of fire. This refers to the time when the soul descends to Gehinnom and the evil forces that judge it, and how after leaving Gehinnom for 3 days, the soul is hungry without any nourishment or Torah to survive before entering Gan Eden. As it says, and Moshe caused Israel to depart from the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and went to paradise. And they went 3 days in the wilderness, and found no water. This refers to the Torah. And they asked Moshe, "What shall we drink?" This is the Torah, which is a tree of life. And he, Moshe, cast into the waters. Then he showed them their reward for the world to come. There he gave them laws and justice, and there he tried them. Hashem promises them that because they have observed the Torah and received their punishment in Gehinnom, so all the disease that I put in Mitzrayim I will not put on you, because I am Hashem your healer. Around paradise, Gan Eden, there are 12 rivers of pure spiritual water, corresponding to the 12 tribes, where each soul is immersed in its own river, where they recover and cool down from the fire of Gehinnom. This is what the verse says. And they came to Elim, and there were 12 springs of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the water. After that, they immerse and are judged in the sword, which is the desert of sin. And they shouted, saying, "It would have been better for us to die by Hashem's hand in Mitzrayim than die in hunger in the desert." Being without Torah is a terrible punishment. After that, they wanted to enter Gan Eden, and Hashem said, "I am now showering you with bread from heaven. Here you will eat much Torah, bread, that you studied, which are the 248 limbs and organs, and 365 veins, totaling 613 Torah mitzvot. If a person never studied Torah, day and night, for Hashem's sake, he would not have enough food for the world of souls, even if he has garments which are the mitzvot that he carried out. In the world of souls, the nation came out to collect their reward and nourishment every day, to tell you that there is a day in this world, and a day in the world to come, exactly the time that a person dedicated here for Torah, exactly the time that a person dedicated here for Torah, he will be able to receive unlimited spiritual nourishment in the world to come. There are the 6 days during which Hashem created the world. As it says, Hashem created in 6 days. All the Torah that a person studies in this world is 1 day. When his soul departs at night, that same day goes with the soul and testifies before Hashem what that person carried out, and he receives unlimited reward in the world to come. Now we will understand why the verse says, "And the days of Israel came to an end." The days are approaching when the pious will receive their reward. Also, the verse says, "In order for your days to increase on the land." If you perform mitzvot and study Torah, it will increase his days in the world to come, which is Gan Eden. And it also gives longevity in this life, in the heavenly life. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and Rabbi Akiva. We will understand the story of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who cried and told his students, "I have 2 ways in front of me, one to Gehinnom and one to Gan Eden. I am not sure on which way I will be taken." Such a pious man would not cry because he was afraid, but rather because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who studied Torah from when he was 40 years old, was concerned about the days before that, when he did not study enough Torah, that he will not have enough spiritual food for eternity. From this episode, we can learn that it is impossible for a person to be rewarded for days when he did not learn Torah, perform mitzvot, and gave tzedakah. Similarly, with Rabbi Akiva, who was one of the 10 martyrs, how could the death have controlled him? Even though he said he was reincarnated to receive punishment for the 10 brothers who sold Yosef. And somewhere else it says that he died for his own sins, and Eliyahu Hanavi, the prophet Elijah, came to bury him. During the first 40 years of his life, however, when he did not study Torah, he was subject to death.